I haven't talked to you one-on-one about the interview with Jimmie Ward. There's a lot to unpack. NFL Network just got to it yesterday. Saw the spicy stuff. What was your takeaway from what Jimmie Ward said? He's a very interesting person, and he's
Definitely
really bringing the spotlight to himself in the secondary.
So first off, I want to say the first person to guess who it was actually to be on was me. So props to me for figuring it out. Detective Suneil was on camera. First, I did want to give you props, Grant, because the art of interviewing is something that not everybody is good at. And I think you did an amazing job creating a comfortable space for Jimmie to get not only more about him out, because I think us as fans, this was one of our first experiences really getting to know Jimmie Ward, the person. And then you also gave him the ability to go out there and create content that made you go national, which I thought was amazing. So congratulations to you on that.
And thank you, Jimmie. I mean, really, that was very generous what he did, if you think about it.
For sure.
He didn't have to do that for me. It was very generous.
For sure.
Yeah.
But there was 3 big takeaways that I took out. The first takeaway is Jimmie Ward is not scared of anybody. And that was something that is pretty interesting, because you see a lot when it comes to players now. There's this whole kind of like everybody is friends, everybody kind of coexists. Nobody really says anything too much as far as trash talk in the media.
Same thing in the NBA, right?
Exactly. And I'm saying athletes overall.
Yep.
I'm old enough to remember when athletes didn't like each other.
Right.
And it was like that rivalry was that rivalry. And Jimmie Ward seems like one of those throwback athletes that's like, you know what? I don't think any of these guys are good. You know, he respects people, but he's not going to give you.
What he said, like, is like, on the field, I hate you. On the field, I like you, but I love that. Love that.
Even off the field, like, it seems like he's not too buddy with anybody, which I really like in an athlete. I mean, it's selfish for sure. They're in a different world. Who you're friends with, be friends. But I like that aggressiveness and just him.
He's not in the cool kid clique.
Exactly.
I like that.
The fact that he would, throw Matthew Stafford under the bus. He's throwing coaches under the bus. Yeah. He's taking shots at everybody, and not in a way to bring attention to him. It seemed like it was just that's the way he thinks. This is just,
and also it's like
genuine.
You don't like it, beat me.
Yeah.
You don't like it? I'll see you twice this year, man. Beat me. You can do something about it. I love that. Yeah.
I love it. The second big takeaway.
Real quick, though, before we finish up with this first big takeaway, I had no idea Jimmie Ward was so confident and driven. I mean, he really does carry himself like he's an all-pro. And he's like genuinely not even mad. He's just like, I don't understand why people don't see me the way I see me. It's the strangest thing. I love that about him.
And it wasn't in a arrogant way, which was really impressive. It was just in a genuinely confident way. Exactly.
Yeah, genuinely confident. Yeah.
That was
false bravado. Just like, exactly. Tape says I'm good. The money says I'm good. But you guys people don't. It's the funniest thing. Oh, well, I guess I'll just try it. Do it again.
Yeah. The second big takeaway was how big of a student he is of the game. The amount of film that he talked about watching. His
smart, man. Every bit as smart as Richard Sherman.
For sure.
Yes.
And just he's a sponge. He'll learn from anybody. He talked about what he learned from Richard Sherman. He talks about, what he learns from his own teammate, Jaquazi Cartart, how much film he watches, to the point where he's done watching his own film. He starts watching other people's film because he's like, just wants to learn so much. He texted Troy Polamalu. He texted Ed Reed. Like, he wants to get better.
He can get back to him.
Yeah.
They're like, I never heard of Jimmie Ward. Sorry, I don't know who this guy is.
Wanting to be that student is impressive, especially when you've gotten to the level of success that he's had, to continue to still feel like he doesn't know enough. And he mentioned, I want to be able to get more turnovers. Like, he's still working on aspects of his game to become better versus other players that may just try to how can I stay in the realm that I am? He's still trying to challenge himself to get to the next level, which I think is really impressive. And, we hear about other athletes that kind of just use the off season to play around, and, you hear them in partying here and, dating this person, all that kind of stuff, where Jimmie Ward is more of that, just like, how am I getting better? He's talking about who I'm trying to network with, who I'm trying to learn from, so on and so forth. So to me, that was huge. Did you really get that same sense?
Also, when you asked him, what do you do to recover and not get injured. I mean, he went on and on and on and on and on and on. I mean, he's like, I take the vitamin D supplements, I do yoga, I do Pilates. It's like, man, like the resources are there. And I think maybe some of the things, someone like Jeff Wilson Jr., when you're 24, 25, you still think you're invincible. You still think you can just do whatever. But when you get to 30 and you realize that you're one injury away from being out of the league, it just becomes more important. He's so smart. He's had injury issues. The reason he hasn't had injury issues the last 2 years, big time, is him.
Right.
And his attention to detail. So maybe you can't just blame. Also, he had a lot of nice things to say about the training staff. He seems like he takes advantage of it. Maybe it's not their fault, the training staff.
And it took me back to when you were talking to Crocker and was it Will Blackman?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of talked about the same type of thing where
it's there.
It's more on the athlete to understand and learn about that stuff versus just blaming the staff. And to be honest, we all could understand that as well. Our doctors tell us to do certain things, and it's up to us to actually do it or not do it as far as, taking care of our bodies and so on and so forth. And my last takeaway was just Jimmie Ward, the individual. He talked very highly about, his father. He talked about, the relationship he has with his family.
Yeah. He mentioned he was in a 2-parent home.
Yeah. And that was interesting. Yeah. I took that as well. He said that. And I think that if we get a chance to learn more and more about Jimmie off the field as a human, I think we're going to learn a lot about a guy who has a lot of wisdom. A lot of things that could benefit society. And, I hope we get that opportunity. I hope he gets a chance to really speak, because he just catches me as a very well-grounded individual. Yeah. Somebody that I feel like I could learn a lot about and intrigued to hear about. Hopefully he starts a podcast
the kind of guy who deserves a platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
And those were, I thought it was an amazing interview. I thought he obviously was amazing in it. You did an amazing job. And overall, I hope we get to see more content. I hope you guys pair up and do more interviews. Overall, it was great. Overall, what your biggest take, like what your
from
overall
Jimmie
feeling? Yeah, just overall from the interview, maybe not just from him, but just in general, seeing how it's expanded and grown since that interview, just overall.
Well, I'm very proud that it has had such a good reception. I mean, really, you guys have been so nice. I'm glad you all watched it. I'm proud of it. I was so nervous to do it. Really, I was so nervous that I would suck. I knew Jimmie Ward would be good. I've seen him do interviews before. I know he would have been great. He was great. He was better than I thought. I guess, I don't know. I'm just really grateful. And I hope that this is the future of NFL coverage, basically, is what I'm saying. Because I think like NFL coverage the last 20 years has been pretty lame. The league doesn't do a great job of promoting their players. The team doesn't do a great job of promoting their players. Fans don't really get to know them. Like this, Jimmie Ward's been on the team since forever, and no one really knew him. And it's like a lot of times players feel like their coaches wouldn't want them to open up or whatever. I hope players are encouraged to go on podcasts, talk for an hour, curse as much as you want, talk as much shit as you want about the opposing players and coaches and stuff. Why not, man? This is entertainment, and I think the NFL could only benefit. It only helped Jimmie Ward. People heard what he said about Matthew Stafford, and no one was like, "This is outrageous." They're like, "This is great for the sport. Do we need more of stuff like this?" It really reminds me of what's so cool about boxing and fighting. I mean, this is all part of the entertainment in fighting sports, and this is a fighting sport as well. Why can't you talk like everyone has to be like, "Oh, great opponent, fly around, well coached"? Like, nah, man. How do you really feel? Thank you, Jimmie Ward. I feel like he showed his teammates, the rest of the league, you can do this. Go for it. Promote yourself.
And it was fun to see that, Grant, 49ers are watching, like the players are watching you, and his ability to like take in and kind of put your critiques in perspective. But overall, it was just more of like a validation for you that you've always been very unique in the style of how you follow this team. And he respects you for it. And I'm sure other players in that locker room respect you for it, even though maybe some fans look at you as like 49er hater. But, obviously the players have gotten take it a different way, which was funny to see him talk about it.
East Bay Chris says, fortunately, no one dug up your mean tweets about Jimmie Ward from last season to make you look foolish. Now, fortunately, no, you did that. the day of. Fortunately, Jimmie Ward isn't on Twitter. And I was wondering if Jimmie Ward was on Twitter, would he have canceled? No, the thing about Jimmie Ward that's cool is he kept saying, I like the challenge.
Yes.
I like that. And that's what I've noticed about the best athletes. They like criticism. They're genuinely befuddled by it. They're like, this guy doesn't think I'm good. That's hilarious. Like, okay, I'll prove him wrong. And they do. And you respect him. I mean, that's how John Lynch is. I've talked to John Lynch. He'd be like, hey, man, criticize me as much as you want. I can take it. Yeah, it's like, you know, any criticism of John Lynch throughout his career, he could just shrug off as like, well, that's not true. But if players get real upset by it, get under their skin, it usually means it's right.
Or, you know, especially with Ward getting into the league the way he did, you know, he didn't go to one of these big schools. He didn't, you know, he was always undersized, like always kind of written off. For him to end up becoming a first round pick, you know, that meant like you're not going to take what other people say about you to heart, because your self-belief is what makes you, you know. It reminds me a lot of like Baker Mayfield, his success, because like, you know, he's been written off so much and yet he keeps coming back and succeeding and so on and so forth. I think there's a certain type of chip on the shoulder type player that uses that to continue to elevate themselves. And, you know, I loved it. I can't wait for the next one, man.